The ABA, despite being defunct for upwards of 35 years, is still a well-known and important footnote in the history of professional basketball. Many current NBA teams and even the three-point line can be traced back to the ABA, despite it only existing for a little under a decade. While these contributions are relatively well known, what has unfortunately been lost to time is the names of some of the league's best players, and I'm not talking about guys like Julius Erving or George Gervin, who made a name for themselves in the NBA also. No, I mean the guys who spent all of or the majority of their professional basketball career putting up premier numbers in the ABA. So in honor of these forgotten players, I'd like to present a series named The Forgotten ABA Stars. In the first episode, we will be discussing the career of Roger Brown, a Hall of Famer with one of the most interesting and tumultuous careers in ABA history. To first begin telling his story, we must go back to his days in the NCAA playing at the University of Dayton. It would be during this time in his life where he would be introduced to Jack Molinas. While Jack Molinas is not a name recognized by many today, he was infamous in the world of sports gambling at the time and spearheaded one of the biggest scandals in college basketball history. Jack had a point-shaving operation so large that once it was discovered, it led to the arrest of 37 students from 22 different colleges. But more importantly for this story, it led to Roger Brown being completely banned from the NCAA and blackballed from the NBA and the Team USA Olympic squad. What makes this even more tragic is the connection between Roger and Jack was virtually non-existent, and no evidence was ever produced showing that Roger had anything to do with the point-shaving operation at all. His barring from the only high-level basketball association in America at the time forced him to continue his basketball career in the AAU circuit and get a job working at the General Motors in Dayton to support himself. Things seemed hopeless until 1967 when the ABA was created, giving Roger the chance to finally play for a professional basketball league. Opportunity presented itself to the Indiana Pacers general manager Mike Storen, who offered Roger a contract to become the first member of the new Pacers team at the age of 25. From this point on, Roger would prove himself to be a formidable opponent on the basketball court. He became known for his limitless offensive abilities and showing up in big moments. He was described as being an intelligent player with a devastating first step and an accurate long-range jump shot. Roger still has one of the most impressive playoff showings in history when in 1970 he'd become the only player in NBA or ABA history to average at least 28, 10, and 5 and lead their team to a championship. He also had a 53-point outing during the finals of that year. The only NBA players to ever put up those numbers in a finals game are Jerry West, Rick Barry, and Michael Jordan. Roger had no shortage of respect from his fellow ABA stars either. The Pacers were the class of the league, and Roger was the class of the class, Julius Erving. You know how they say they can't guard Kobe one-on-one? They can't guard Michael one-on-one? They couldn't guard Roger Brown one-on-one, George Gervin. Roger's final season was in 1975, a year that saw him move to the Memphis Sounds and the Utah Stars, but still end up back in Indiana where he'd retire at the age of 32. His career averages were 17.4 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, and 3.8 assists per game. A decent stat line for sure, but it doesn't really tell the full story when you consider the fact that he missed a large portion of his prime due to being barred from the NBA and having to wait until 25 to play professionally. It is worth mentioning that Roger did get a chance to play in the NBA when his name was finally cleared, but it happened in the twilight years of his career, and he preferred to stay loyal to Indianapolis, a city that when it was all said and done, he helped bring 3 rings to. Tragically, Roger would pass away on March 4, 1997 at the young age of 54 due to the colon cancer that he was diagnosed with the previous year. Posthumously, Roger Brown would be unanimously selected into the ABA All-Time Team, put into the Basketball Hall of Fame, and have his number retired by the Pacers. He passed away in Indianapolis, the city he spent virtually his whole career serving.